All right, everyone, we're going to work on T7 case problem 2, the spice bowl. So this is what our page is going to look like at the end. And what does it look like right now? We're going to pop this in a new tab. This is it. You can see there's a lot to be done here. Like the form doesn't even exist, right? The menu ideas, which should be like in an aside, take up the whole page. And that login up there doesn't exist either. So we're going to make this form. I'm going to take this, get it out of the way. I don't need that because I have it open here. And you can read this if you want, but let's get started. Remember, along the way, we're going to check every step of the way so we don't get run into problems with MindTap. So as soon as the form element's done, that's going to be our first check. So as soon as we get this bit done. But before that, open up SB payment. I have it, SB validate, and enter your name and the date. Okay, and return to SB payment and add links to sbforms.css and validate.css in the document head. So forms.css and sbvalidate.css. Add a script element to load the sbscript.js. So we don't really know much about JavaScript here. Haven't worked with it yet, JavaScript, at the end of this course, but we do, we could figure this out. So we're adding a script element. So this is using the script tag. I can tell you that src is going to point to this sbscript.js file, and then we have a closing tag on there. All right, so hopefully this is working, and we can actually check to see if this is working. If I come back and refresh, and I'm going to hit F12 to load up the console, and this is okay. So I'm getting a JavaScript error coming from SB script, but what I'm looking for here is making sure that these files were actually loading. Okay, if I had something wrong, I'm just going to put a space in there, right? Like it's saying that you can't find this SB val and then space a date. All right, so I was just looking for that to make sure that I am not receiving that error. So if you get this error, you're good. All right, let's continue. The form element. This is our first thing we're going to check. The page will contain a form in which customers can log in directly after the SB logo. All right, let's find SB logo. There it is. Directly after that, we're going to add a form with the ID of login. And form should use the post method. And the action that it's going to post to is this link. Oh, okay. So form element, I think that's where we're going to check. Yep, so before the login, we're going to check. So this was it. We just added this form here. Let's see. Good to go. Let's continue working on that. In the login form, insert the following fields and controls. A text input box with the ID user box. So input type equals text, ID equals user box. For the username field, add a placeholder. Is username. All right, and then another box, another text box, an ID of PWD box, and the placeholder is password. All right, and if we come over here and look, there's username and password. If I validate this, that's good. I'm not a fan of the password box being input type text when we have input type password available to us. But we're going to stick with what the book wants to do here so we can continue validating things. All right, so we're done with login form. Payment form. Directly below the payment form H1. So payment form H1, insert a form element. And form's one of those things, as soon as I write it out, I put the closing form tag in there so I don't forget. Action is this. So I'm going to copy this. Action equals that. Method equals post. and ID is payment. All right, so that looks good. It's showing us where our form's going, and that's done via some of the CSS that we're not worried about. Okay, we're going to worry about a little CSS, but someone else wrote the CSS to make that form look the way it does. And let's check this step. 1 of 1, great work. All right, let's move along. Field sets, insert a field set. So we're going to be inside the form element. And again, field set, I'm going to close it right away. This field set has an ID of billing. And within this field set, we're adding a legend that says billing information required. All right, and then within the billing field set, add labels and input boxes specified in the figure below. Note the input boxes contain placeholder text. You do not need to enclose the label or input within div elements. Okay, thanks. So I'm going to do one of these and write out what we're doing. So I'm going to have a label, and this label is going to be first name. All right, and that's going to correspond to this input box. So we have input type equals text. And when I say type equals text, that's the data type here. All right, ID equals first box, name equals F name. We don't have a placeholder, but it is required. All right, and with required, you don't put, required equals yes or anything like that. Required is a Boolean attribute, meaning as long as it's there, that means it's required. Okay, if it's not there, it's not required. So it's a Boolean attribute, we just put required there. And what we want to do, if I come back here and refresh, first name is our label, and this input box is the input box. And I can click in here to put text in the input box. I have no idea. Maybe that's LastPass doing this. I don't know. Don't worry about this. It's probably a browser extension I have. But my label, I can't click on my label to move my cursor in here. And to do that, the label has to have a 4. Okay, and the 4 line aligns with the ID of the input box. So label for first box, if you click on first name, it's going to put your cursor now into first box. Okay, so we have that done. And if we look at this list, let me right click, open a new tab. We have first name, last name, street, street 2. Street 2 is not required. City, state, zip. Zip is not required. That's a weird one. Oh, I know why. Okay. Country. And these are all text boxes. And then you have phone number, which is input type tel. All right. This is going to be a lot of copy and paste. And once we're done with that, we're going to validate this section. So I'm going to get copying and pasting. I'm going to speed this up in a second. I just copied that label and input, and now I'm going to start deleting some stuff. Okay, I'm giving myself a template to work with, like this. Okay, so this way, when I copy and paste this, that was last name, street, street 2, city, state, zip, country, phone. Okay, now I don't have to delete anything. I just have to fill this stuff out. So that's what I'm going to do right now, and I'm going to speed it up. All right, so I have that done. I have first name, last name, all these fields. Most of them are just input type equals text. Remember that telephone, your phone box, is input type equals tel. All right, your label 4 is going to line up with the ID, and zip code is not required. All right, so let's see if I did this right. It's happy, but I'm not, because I realized I did actually screw something up. all of this stuff should be in this field set, right? A field set kind of holds together common fields. So I'm going to just verify. So I moved my end field set at the end of phone. Let's verify this again. Okay, that's how that should be done. All right, and data list. Create a data list with the ID state list. Containing 2-letter abbreviations, you can use the list of abbreviations in SB state text file. Apply the data list to the state box. Okay, we have an SB state file. There is a list of the states. I'm not a huge fan of this list, but we're going to use this, and then I'll show you something else real quick. So I'm going to take all these states here and copy them. All right. This is sbstate.txt. And then back to my payment form. What I'm going to do is after the input, I'm going to create a data list. ID of state list, like they said. Data list. Well, let's do this first. Let's tie the data list to the state input box. So after required, I'm just going to say list equals state list. All right. And what this is doing for us is when I put state in here, and if I type like New York, what we're trying to do is get it so that if I type the N, it gives me the items from this state list that include N's. All right. And like I said, we can't just take these state tags and dump it in there. Okay, it doesn't work like that because all of these need to be wrapped in option tags. So we have our state list here, but we can't just put the states in there. We need to wrap everyone in an option tag. OPTION, like that. Okay, and it would, obviously it would take a little while to do that with all this stuff here. So this is what I'm going to do. We're going to do a find and replace. All right, let me cut this out of here, cut this out of here. And so I'm going to hit Control H to bring up find and replace. I don't know why H, because F was already taken for find and G was already taken for go to. So H is the next letter in the alphabet. And what we're going to search for is /n. This is a regular expression saying we're looking for a new line. So we have to make sure we check this third button here, this icon that has the dot and the star. Okay, so it matches all those /n's. And when you find a /n, what we want to replace it with is end option /end option. So every time you find a new line, put end option and then put that new line back there and then option again. Let's replace all. And it replaced a bunch of stuff we didn't need, but line 7, we can get rid of this. Line 7 down to line 56, those are the states now wrapped in option tags. I'm going to copy that, come back here in my data list, hit paste. Now let's see if MindTap, let's see if this works. Hit refresh, state. If I type N, it gives me all the states with N in there, including New York. And let's see if this validates. All right, very good. So we did a little trick there. Find and replace on the state list. So again, we did a find and replace, and you might want to go back and watch that again, how we did that. We searched for a new line character, and we replaced it with end option, new line, and an option. So every line we added, at the end of every line, we replaced it with end option, and then we put option on the next line. All right, and we did that searching for the /n, and that is a regular expression. So make sure when you get in there, that /n, you have that regular expression option turned on, and you'll see what it's matching. Okay, so good job. And speaking of regular expressions, in the text of the zip code should follow this pattern. So if we come over here and we find, I'm going to indent these. It's driving me crazy if they're not indented. Okay. Doesn't really matter, but it matters to me. Zip code, The pattern on the zip code is that regular expression. So just wrap that in quotes. And the phone, put pattern equals, and then I put in pattern. I put in both quotes and then I paste in between. And what I pasted was this regular expression. I'm not going to break up, what this means. Also, these regular expressions are in SB regex. There's phone and zip code. I don't know why. We can just copy them from here. And then set the default value of the country field to United States. Country required value equals United States. All right, let's check this out. Very good. We're done with this step. And if we look at our page, looks like this now, which is a good start. Let's continue. Credit card. So we're going to add another field set. So I'm going to do that underneath this field set. ID equals credit card. And again, as soon as I open my field set, I'm going to close it. And I'm going to remember to put a legend in here. All right, so credit card required, that's this text right here, right? Let's see what we're validating here. Yep, let's validate this right away. Okay, the card label. Within the credit card field set, insert another field set. Ooh, a field set in a field set. Okay. Yes. And again, remember, a field set is holding together related fields on a form. So it makes sense that we can have a field set within a field set containing 4 label elements. Label. Did I spell that wrong? Autocomplete's going really slow. Let me just turn that off. Maybe this will work a little bit faster without autocomplete. And it's not. All right, I'll keep it on. It's just going really slow right now. We need 4 of these belonging to the card label class. So label class equals card label. Within the 4 label elements, now I only have one right now because I'm going to be doing some copy and paste. Insert an option button from the C card field. Okay. You know what? I'm going to put this on a new line just to make it easier to see. Input type equals radio. Name equals, hope if I spell name right, C card. It's going to have some value and it's required. Now, required is kind of a goofy thing with radio buttons. It's not that every one of them is required because remember, radio buttons, you can only have one selected, but at least one of them is required. Okay. And we're going to start with Amex. Follow each option with an image containing the image of its corresponding card. So like sbamex.ping. So I'm going to put on the next line. Again, I'm going to collapse this when we're done. Okay, and images need alt tags. Hopefully that's going to be okay with the validation. So this is one of them. And you know what? Maybe I'm not going to collapse it. This is 2. I know that that's going to change, that's going to change, and that's going to change. So my template is label class equals card label, input type equals radio, name equals C card, values empty, required, image source is kind of empty, alt is empty, and then end label. That's my second one, third, fourth. And these other ones are Discover, MasterCard, Visa. Images are Discover, MasterCard, Visa. Alt tag in here. I just faster type it. All right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 labels within this nested field set. And the reason we're using these labels with this is that when you click on the image, it'll choose that radio button as well. All right. So if I come back here, refresh, we have our credit card. And instead of just having to click on this little radio button, I can click on the image and it'll choose that radio button for us. All right, so I think card label is something that should be checked. Good job. Let's move on to credit card number. After the credit card field set, so we're in between the two end field sets, insert a label containing the text credit card number associated with the card box. So this label is for card box. Create an input box with the ID card box. Okay, I missed that line. Input type equals text, name equals something, ID equals card box. Make the card number required. You know how to do that. The name of this is card number. And have the value follow the regular expression pattern for credit card numbers. Okay. So again, pattern equals. So input type equals text, name equals card number, ID equals card box. That's going to match this for here. It's required. And the pattern for credit cards is found in SB regex, is right here. This whole line. Copy that. Paste it between the quotes. And let's check that step. All right, good work. Let's do expiration date. All right, create the expiration date label associated with the month list control. I'm going to take this credit card label. I'm going to hit paste. And then it's going to be label for month list. And the name of this is expiration date. I don't think that was any faster, but I like copy and paste. Okay, so we have the month list. Add a selection list. And select, again, is a tag that needs to be closed, so I will close it right away. Select, this has an ID of month list. And the name of it is card month. Make the card month field required. Populate the list with option text month. All right, so the first one is, all right, and then we need to fill this out. Oh, see, good thing I read all this. For the month, set the field option to an empty text string. So the reason we need to do this, so option value equals nothing. And the reason we have to do that is because otherwise the value would be the text, which would be minus, minus, month, minus, minus. And if we chose nothing, right, we didn't choose January through December, the value would be this, and it would match, it would satisfy that requirement. So by setting the value of this to empty, if we just left it at this month option, it would not satisfy this requirement. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my template, and this is going to be filled in for January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Right, and then I'm going to fill these in 1, 2, 3. And 12. All right, and put the name of the month in there with this month number in parentheses. As you can imagine, this is quite tedious. And also, it's something that once you do it once, you find a project that you did this in, and you just copy and paste. All right, so I'm going to fill this out. You can do the same. All right, that was extremely tedious. Let's see if we have to validate this thing. Nope, we're gonna, oh no, don't tell me I skipped a step. Complete the expiration date step, complete the month. Uh-oh. I hope this validates. We're gonna see. Okay, good. Because that step was just this that we just validated. And we've already did the month list. Good job. And now let's do the year list. All right, year list. So I'm going to take this month list. I'm going to copy it. Underneath, I'm going to hit paste. And instead of month list, this is year list. Instead of card month, it's card year. And it also has an end select. It's required. Yep, we did that. Populate it with an empty value with year. And then 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21. This definitely needs to be updated, but I wonder, so I mentioned before, if you don't give a value, it uses what's inside this box here. Okay, so to write it like this, it's just a lot more redundant text. So I'm going to try to get away with not doing that. So we have 2017. This will be 18, 19, 20, 21. These 18, 19, 20, 21. So I did not put values on these, but I did put a value on the year dropdown so that when it's chosen, if nothing's chosen, it would be an empty value. Okay, but if I choose 2019, the value of that is 2019. So whether MindTap accepts it or not, we're going to find out. They do. Excellent. It's going to save us a little bit of typing then. All right, and then the CSC box, your card security code. Oh, and with the expiration date label, remember the 4 is only for on month list because it only point to one thing. So if I click on expiration date, it puts my focus on the month. Okay, but the year just drops next to it. There's no way to get to the year using a label. All right. Speaking of labels, we need a label for the CSC box, and we're going to call this CSC. And then we need an input box. Input type equals text. ID equals CSC box. Name equals CSC. It is required. There is a pattern follow, which is right here. Maximum length. We haven't done this yet. Max length equals 3. And placeholder, dumbest placeholder ever, NNN. Apparently to indicate to the user to put in 3 numbers. We'll see. All right. And do we have a validation here before we... Nope. Let's not forget this then. After the credit card field set, so this is the credit card field set right here. We're still within the form, but that field set is this. Sorry, I got confused because I saw end field set here, but that's this field set. All right, so for me, it's line 138 is the credit card field set, and that ends way down here on line 196. All right, so after the credit card field set, insert a button, just like that, of the submit type. Button type equals submit, end button. And then within the button, insert the image sb button.ping with the alt text next. Because we're going to be going on to a next page. The text for the button is part of the button. The value is not needed. Okay. So if we take a look at what this looks like, there we go. All right, let's validate CSC box and we can get this step done. Nice work. Let's move on to the next step. All right, next go to the sbvalidates.css. There it is. We're going to set validation styles. So insert the following style rules to perform inline validation. So right now, like if I hit next, it just says, please fill out this field, okay, as a required field. Or, if I get down to postal code and I put in like 456, it's not matching the right format, okay? Of course, it has to get down there first. I'm not going to do all that, but what we're going to do is for every input element that is not of type radio, and this type equals radio actually has to be put in square brackets like this. Okay, so input colon not in parentheses and in square brackets type equals radio that has the focus, so colon focus what we want to do is change the background color to this. Copy equals there. So if you're on an input box that's not a radio button and you're focused on it, set the background color to like this peachy color. And I come back and refresh, and you can see what it looks like. And it's kind of nice when you click on like phone, it makes it that color. Okay. So, and not radio buttons though. It's when you hit the radio button, it does not have that background color. For every input, that next step, when am I validating this? Oh, you're not tested on this. Well, we're still going to do it. For every input that's not a radio type, it has the focus with a valid value. Okay, so very similar to this starting bit here. Oh, I guess this should all be underneath validation styles. Okay, so every input type that's not a radio button that has the focus and that is valid, so valid, right? We're going to set it to this green color. All right, I'll get to the image in a second. And let's go on and do the next bit, which is that same thing, but is not valid. It's going to be this reddish color. And it's not red. RGB. Well, I thought it should be a red color, but we'll see. All right, come back here, refresh. This has focus. It is not valid. So it turned to this color. I don't like that color at all. I really want it to be like a red. RG. I swear that's almost a typo. Like it should be red because it's invalid. Anyway, as soon as you type, it turns green. It's like, yeah, you did it. Oh, you're in that field. It's not right. Now it's right. Okay. I'm going to keep it that 215. I really think that's what it should be. It gives me a nice red color instead of a yellow. Yellow didn't make any sense. We're also going to display the image SB valid, and we're back to the valid one. sbvalid.ping with no tiling in the right edge of the input box. I'm not going to get into this much exactly how to do this, but the code would be we're putting a background on this. So the background is SB valid. You're putting it at the bottom right, and then you're not repeating. We're not just working with a background color, we're working with background. My bad. When we're adding this image, we're no longer just working with a background color, we're working with an entire background. Okay. So this is red. I'm hoping, there we go. You can't see the image here. This is LastPass. It's a password manager. It's getting in the way, but you can see here, last name has this red X, and as soon as I type Nagel, it gives me the green check mark. All right, and as I fill this out, I want to get down to the postal code because if I do like 1, 2, 3, it's still giving me the red X because it's not matching that pattern of 5 digits. Okay, so that part's done. We're not being tested on this, but this is the code if you're interested in it. So the background has a color. And again, for valid and invalid, you have the background property. For focus, we'll just have background color. I don't even know why we have this, right? This is never used because it's either valid or invalid. It's never neither of those two things. But anyway, we put a background image in the bottom right, no repeat. All right, we did this. We talked about valid credit card numbers. I'm not going to go through all that. You can run it through the W3C HTML validator because we have HTML here. So yeah, let's do that. I'm going to open this in a new tab. I'm going to take my HTML, Control A to select all, Control C to copy. And in the validator, I'm going to do Control V to paste. V is in Victor. And when I paste it, we have one warning, and that is okay. We're going to ignore warnings, especially when it's given to us in this section. So there we go. We have our page is done. Final test gave us the green checkbox. Great work. If you look, you should have green all the way through and submit it. All right, there you go. That was T7, case problem 2, the Spice Bowl.